Somebody giving some love. All right. All right. Hey, Tracy. All right. Thanks for joining.
Those of us that indulge in or commit intellectual violence don't do so for the pleasure of mental masturbation or ego digging. We do so because the chains of oppression in our people's minds are deep and difficult to remove.
Good morning, my children of the sun. Welcome to the Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM. I'm your host and third eye optometrist, Patrice Gibbs. Yes, indeed. Happy Black History Month, huh? Oh, yeah. Well, you know, if you're an Open Eye listener, you're well aware that we don't wait until February to celebrate Black history. And there are some people say, oh, well, that's the only time y'all do it. Oh, and we just stop it. Stop it. If you celebrate our history all year, this is just a time to ramp it up. WHGE 95.3 FM.
Expressed on Open Eye are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors and do not reflect the policy or position of WHGE 95.3 FM nor our sponsor, the Delaware Center for Homeless Vets. Any content provided by Open Eye's hosts, guests, or contributors are theirs and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, company, or individual.
WHGE 95.3 FM, the education advocacy station. Start with a quote here. I was born here almost 60 years ago. I'm not going to live another 60 years. You always told me it takes time. It's taken my mother's time, my father's time, my uncle's time, my brother's time, my sister's time, my nieces and my nephew's time. How much time do you want for your progress? That's a quote from James Baldwin. You know, I could point out some things that happened in my time. Shouldn't be going on now. I'm 60 years old. We don't know ourselves. That's a part of the problem. You know, African proverb. If the panther knew how much he is feared, he would do much more harm. I'm going to speak to that near the end of the show. Now, for those of you that, and good morning, Brother Cedric, for those of you that complain about they gave us Black History Month, I hear this every year, hear it all the time. You know, a month is we have too much history to squeeze into the shortest month of the year. Did I tell you you didn't do your homework? No research, you didn't study. The precursor to Black History Month was created in 1926 in the United States when historian Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History announced the second week of February to be Negro History Week. In February 1926, Woodson sent out a press release announcing the first Negro History Week. He chose February. Say that again. He chose February. Carter G. Woodson chose February because the month contained the birthdays of both Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass, two prominent men whose historical achievements African Americans already celebrated. Okay? So that's why Black History Month is in February. It's not a hard thing to find out. And don't take it so hard. You know what? We as a people are influenced on the world. You know, who is it? The late, y'all who are, oh my God, the comedian. Richard Pryor's boy. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Somebody out there help me out. Can't think of his name right now. Brain fart. But at any rate, he always said everybody want to be black, but don't nobody want to be black. And he wasn't that polite about it. Tell you someone that was influenced. It's Ho Chi Minh. And who is Ho Chi Minh? He's the famed Vietnamese communist revolutionary leader who was instrumental in leading North Vietnam to eventual independence from French colonizers. According to historians, Ho Chi Minh was influenced partly by the teachings of Marcus Garvey during his stay in America. But a lot of you didn't know that. That's word. I'm going to share. Ho Chi Minh was born Young Sinh Kung on May 19th, 1890. Much of Ho's early life has been filled with exaggerated facts. But it is known that he began traveling the world and studying different cultures around 1911. In 1912, Ho Chi Minh arrived on America's shores and began living between Boston and Harlem. Okay, that might be exaggerated, but it's customary for revolutionary leaders to exaggerate some facts to add to their mystique. But during the time Ho Chi Minh was in Harlem, he was said to have attended several meetings and lectures by Universal Negro Improvement Association leader and Pan-Africanist Marcus Garvey. Garvey's words may have influenced Ho Chi Minh. In 1924, Ho Chi Minh published a pamphlet, The Black Race, translated from French, which detailed the conditions and horrors African Americans face under the false democracy of America. Ho Chi Minh said, "It is well known that the black race is the most oppressed and most exploited of the human family." 1924 now. "It is well known that the spread of capitalism and the discovery of the New World has had an immediate result of the rebirth of slavery. What everyone does not perhaps know is that after 65 years of so-called emancipation, American Negroes still endure atrocious moral and material sufferings, of which the most cruel and horrible is the custom of lynching." That tells me he was definitely here. Okay. An interesting thing, he shared his birthday, May 19th, with Malik Shabazz. Y'all know who Malik Shabazz is? I hope so. It's Malcolm X. Yeah, I know it's Black History Month, but like I said, here on the Open Eye, we study Black history all year. We talk about our history all year, and what have you. And what I'm going to do today is, I'm going to talk about some white people that black people had an effect on. That white America's bigotry and racism and oppression of black people had an effect on. Okay? Start with John Brown. He was an American abolitionist leader, first reaching national prominence for his radical abolitionism and fighting in bleeding Kansas. He was eventually captured and executed for failed incitement of a slave rebellion in Harper's Ferry preceding the American Civil War. A man of strong religious convictions, Brown believed he was an instrument of God, raised up to strike the death blow to American slavery, a sacred obligation. Brown was the leading exponent of violence. This is a white dude now. Of violence in the American abolitionist movement. He believed that violence was necessary to end American slavery. And he is absolutely right. America is the only damn country that had to have a war to end slavery. After decades of peaceful efforts had failed. Brown said repeatedly that in working to free the enslaved, he was following the Golden Rule as well as the U.S. Declaration of Independence, which states that all men are created equal. Okay. Considering what went down in the Civil War, one of the things I say about the fight between the North and the South is that the North won the war, but the South won the peace. Because white supremacy remained the staple of American society, the foundation of American society. People like to say, well, America's a Christian nation. No. Christianity, how many times I had to tell you this? Christianity is not America's religion. White supremacy is. That's America's religion. Oh, white supremacy also affected white people in adverse ways. And not just those that fought against the oppression of black people, but those that just were those whites that were just trying to live and treat people with respect and what have you. There's something I gotta mention about John Brown and why I went into the Civil War and this, that, and the other. John Brown was the only insurrectionist in American history to be executed. Now, for that essay back, my notes back here. I'll tell you something about Brown. He has been variously described as a heroic martyr and visionary, and as a madman and a terrorist. Okay? Now, after the Civil War, the traitors, those that tried to succeed from the nation, went unpunished. These people were traitors. It says in the Constitution, the penalty for treason is death. Fast forward to, January 6, 2020? 2021? Insurrectionists, terrorists attacked the Capitol. They've been given mealy-mouth charges and this, that, and the other have not been described as the entities that they are, which were traitors to America, insurrectionists. They tried to run a coup on the government, led by the Orange Disaster. Brown has been described as a heroic martyr and visionary and as a madman and a terrorist. You know, the history of John Brown, with all this crap going on about outlawing CRT, critical race theory, which is in taught in schools in elementary through 12, K through 12. It's not taught. It's a postgraduate course. So you already have a degree when you go to the level where you learn critical race theory. Now you want to know where some of your white associates stand? Ask them what their view is of John Brown. And why they're so worried about learning about John Brown. Because if they say that John Brown was a madman and a terrorist, you know they are goddamn racist. You can believe that. If they tell you he was a heroic martyr and a visionary, you might have found an ally. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. Patrice Gibbs, your third eye optometrist. Wait a minute. Give me a second here. All right. Okay. Today, is it the 5th? Let me look at here. Wait a minute. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. February 5th. Today, Trayvon Martin would be 27 years old. Happy birthday, Prince. You never grew up to be a king. Hey, Sherry. I see you, sister. All right, Bessie. Thanks for joining me, y'all. Fun All Day by Patrice Gibbs. Yeah. WHGE 95.3 FM with your third eye optometrist on The Open Eye. Soon to be joined by our intellectual surgeon, Nsoromma. Now I said I was going to tell you about some white people. All right. Some of you know, who know me, you know I'm a big jazz fan. Mm-hmm. This is a story of how segregation damages everyone. One of the things, I think this quote is from Dr. King. If you hold me down in oppression, I'm paraphrasing, you have to stand down in the hole to keep me there. There was a jazz trumpeter, cornetist in the 20s by the name of Bix Beiderbecke. Now, Bix Beiderbecke was the hottest player amongst white trumpet players, white jazz artists. Amongst the whites, he was the best. Of course, jazz was created by black people. Bix Beiderbecke considered Louis Armstrong the greatest thing that ever happened. He loved Louis Armstrong. He loved his music. And he wanted to be able to play on the level that Louis Armstrong played. Now, because of segregation, Bix Beiderbecke was not allowed to play in public with Louis Armstrong. He did seek Louis Armstrong out, and they had some closed door jam sessions after hours in some of the clubs and what have you. Now, Bix Beiderbecke, like I said, amongst the whites was the best. And he was accepted by black jazz artists of the time, in the 20s and what have you. Now, if you know anything about jazz, the major thing about jazz is improvisation. It's creating art on the spot. And Bix was good at that. But the thing that Bix wasn't doing was advancing past the level that he had reached. Because in order for a jazz artist to grow, he has to play with artists that are as good or better. And the only people that were as good or better than Bix Beiderbecke was Hot Lips Page, Louis Armstrong, Buck Clayton. And he wasn't allowed to play with these people. Now here's the thing about Bix. Probably, and this is probably why he was able to play on the level that he was. Bix understood the music and the people that it came from so deeply that it broke his heart. Bix drank himself to death at the age of 27, a victim of segregation. A little history lesson for you. WHGE 95.3 FM. Open Eye.
Yo, what's good? You know I got 100 jobs. Hello, everyone. Yaga! Yo, Sad, Tracy, Sherry, Noko, Ron. Hey, yo, Yaga! Thank y'all for tuning in. Hey, what up, Pat? You know what I'm saying? Just get ahead. I had to set up the stuff. So, yo, now y'all got a good visual of us. So, yo, hit us up, ask questions, do what y'all do, because that's what it is. Yo, Joaquin, what's good? That's what's up. That's what's up.
All right, all right. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. Yes, D. Joining me, my partner in consciousness, Nsoromma. What's up, brother? How you doing? Good morning, good morning.
What's good?
Hello,
world. Hello, world.
Yes,
What's good?
what's good? Tell you something. Oh, let me see where we at here. How you doing over there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Put it the same. Just that's all.
All right, yeah. But sometimes we get complaints that you're not talking into the mic. That usually come from Harmon. Of course, he's 80 years old and can only hear out of one
But it's
ear.
cool. I'll push it a little harder.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
I
that's
wish I
what it
reach 80.
Yeah.
I want to reach
80 something. Don't go right.
Hopefully.
That's
Keep
right.
going, Mr.
Yes,
Good.
yes. That's our station manager, our leader. That's right. Look, Africa has never needed the world. The world has always needed Africa.
Yes.
Africa is the only continent that is actually rooted into the earth. The rest of the continents are floating. Mm-hmm.
And did you know that like mostly all of the other countries can fit inside of Africa, but they don't let you know that, that it's that big.
Oh yeah.
Most people don't know that.
No, they don't. You know
They
that.
think Africa is the little.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yes.
Not the case. Africa is the biggest continent on the planet.
Miss Hughes, what's up? That was one of your things, yo. Hey, how you doing anyway?
Hey, did you know
What?
that alchemy, which is a process of transmutation of base metal into gold, or the research of universal elixir, comes from al-Khamia in Arabic, Khamia in Coptic, and it means the science of Kemet, i.e. the science of black people. Africans were the first alchemists and masters of science. They taught all other civilizations. Well, that's some black history for your ass, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah, buddy.
Thanks for that, brother.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, being though we supposedly be the first to do it, we should be the first to did everything, and we got it running and it started. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
So I don't know. You can believe that.
Mm-hmm. You know, like I was saying earlier, it's Black History Month. Happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
It should be every day.
That's what like I told them. We don't wait until February around here. Oh no, we keep it going. That's
I mean, you have to study your history. You have to know yourself, or you won't know who you want to be.
Right.
You can easily be influenced.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's really all about getting and pushing your own community, and it's okay to be separated. We don't have to fight because we're separated.
No.
You know what I'm saying? We can do business and commerce together also.
Mm-hmm.
We do anyway. So make it our own.
That's
you
right.
know what I'm saying?
Yes, indeed. Now, you know, it's something that many of our own people look back at past generations. And, you know, they were scared. That's why they didn't. No, they weren't all scared. You had many black people during the 20s who stood up. During the 30s who stood up. Yeah, I'll tell you something about World War II. Many, you know what? I think our thing is reversed there. There you go. All right. Many of the returning soldiers returned with the attitude that never again. The Pittsburgh Courier, famed black publication, one of the biggest black newspapers in the country. Okay, they promoted what was known as the Double V campaign. And that was victory in Europe and in the war, and victory at home against the racism, oppression, and segregation of black people. Now, after World War II, a lot of these soldiers returned home with that attitude. We're not taking it anymore. And they meant that. They were trained. Now, one of the most, probably and not well known, okay, I have to thank Professor Carol Anderson.
Thank you, Miss Carol Anderson.
Yes, indeed, for hipping me to the Columbia Race Riot of 1946. Okay. The race riot in Columbia, Tennessee, a town of 10,000, from February 25th to February 28th, 1946, was an early example of post-World War II racial violence between African Americans and whites in the United States. Now, when I talk about these race riots, I usually put the quotation marks up because they weren't riots in the sense that we are accustomed to believing. Black people jumping up, you know, they had enough and, you know, getting out here and rioting. Or uprising, which is really preferable. Okay? And the reason I do that quotation is because when you say race riot, be clear that what was happening was whites attacking black people. Okay? On February 25th, 1946, James Stevenson, a World War II veteran, and his mother, Gladys Stevenson, went to Castner Knott, a local department store, to pick up the radio they had taken in for repair, not knowing it had been sold to another customer. All right? When Mrs. Stevenson demanded her radio, William Fleming Jr., a store employee, confronted her, defending his mother, who was being verbally abused. Ain't nobody gonna stand up there and let you talk to mom crazy.
Lucky I ain't getting beat up.
I don't get that. Stevenson, well, it wasn't lucky, because Stevenson began fighting and threw that white dude through the window, injuring him, of course. Stevenson and his mother were arrested and charged with disturbing the peace. Now, she took her radio to get repaired. They repaired the radio and sold it to somebody else and told her too damn bad. This is the kind of stuff that white people could get away with then. But Mr. Stevenson was not having it. He was not going to allow his mother to be treated like that. So what happened was they both pleaded guilty and received a $50 fine. The Stevensons were arrested again after Will Fleming Sr., the owner of the store, the employee's father, filed charges against them on behalf of his son for assault with the intent to commit murder. Julius Blair, a local black businessman, posted the Stevensons' bond and they were released. During the same time, however, a white mob, is where the race riot comes in, after hearing about the fight between Fleming and Stevenson, gathered at the Murray County Courthouse while black townspeople came together in the Mink side of black business section. Concern about the fight and the possibility of mob violence against the entire community prompted them to arm themselves. They decided to turn off the lights in the Mink slide and began shooting out the street lights. Hearing the gunshots, the Columbia police chief sent 4 patrolmen to Mink side. When the police arrived, blacks blocked their entry. See, what they did was they got up on the rooftops, right, in the Mink side section of town, which is the black business section. And they said, yeah, come on, bring your ass. And they did. And they were set back under gunfire. During the confrontation, more than 100 black women and men were arrested. And what the whites had to do, they had to call in the National Guard or the state militia, as it was at that time. Well, the deputies began questioning the prisoners about the shooting of the policemen. 3 black men were singled out as most likely responsible: James Johnson, William Gordon, and Napoleon Stewart. During the interrogation, Tennessee Highway patrolmen arrived and took the 3 men, whom they accused of shooting at them, to the sheriff's office. Now, what happened was they went to court. Okay, 25 people were charged in this, charged with attempted murder. They went to court, but the local business people called in the NAACP. It was a little different NAACP at that time. And NAACP...
So who's the representative for the NAACP now that's making it better for our people right now, instead of this one you saying that it's a better one now?
No, I'm not saying now.
Is it a replacement? No. Better people?
No. I'm not saying it's better now. I'm saying it's worse now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So who is the people that go to now instead of them that you saying is worse now? Mm-hmm. Who is the people that we can go to as the people to say and look for the help for now instead of them? Because you saying they ain't doing what they're supposed to do. So who are you directing them to?
I ain't directing them to nobody.
It ain't nowhere we can go search my baby. There ain't nobody out there.
Yeah, well,
if y'all know somebody out there,
but
y'all know somebody out there, hit us up. Let us know give us some information.
Right.
You know? Okay.
Well, anyway, the lawyers from the NAACP presented a brilliant case and got 23 of the 25 off. Okay, because it was self-defense, and they proved it in court. Okay. Now, it wasn't
even only self-defense. They missing the bottom line. It was robbery. And they robbed. The store owner robbed the people for their material.
That's they did.
And they should have
been charged for that.
They should have been charged for robbery.
Yeah,
but like that.
Part of the brilliance of the lawyers from the NAACP, who were black lawyers, was during the jury picking process, because the arrogance at that time of the whites, they played on that. Because what happened was, they interviewed the juror. Can you be fair? And these were white people. And asked them straight up, can you be fair in a trial against a black man?
Yeah. I sure can.
Yeah. Well, because they were so arrogant, some of them sat right up there and said, well,
No.
I favor a white man. What's wrong with you?
Right.
You know? And so they were able to get the jury with impartial jury. And when they presented the case, the facts of the case, that jury had no choice but to find these black people not guilty. Okay? Now, here was the thing. Law enforcement was pissed. I mean, they were really upset that, you know, they sent in these sharp lawyers and got these people off. They were really upset about that. So the case is over, and these 3 lawyers, one of which was white, are leaving Columbia, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Well, the cops in unmarked car followed them down the road as they're leaving the town or leaving the city. Finally, they pulled them over. And they pulled them over, and, you know, they tried to find something on them.
Right. Which
You
they
know.
did. They ain't do nothing wrong.
They ain't do
right?
nothing wrong.
Oh, your tail lights out, buddy.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
Step out the car.
You know, so they actually pulled him over 3 times. And the 3rd time, they accused the driver of drunk driving. But he had nothing to drink. They
Right.
took him anyway, and they put him in the car. But they did not head to the city.
Where the police station was at.
Right.
Okay.
They drove off towards the woods. Now, one of the lawyers was a white man. And he jumped in the driver's seat and followed them. And when they speeded up, he speeded up. When they slowed down, he slowed down. Finally, they pulled over and said, what the hell are you doing? Why are you following us? He said, where the hell are you taking him? Because the city is that way. So if you're taking him to jail, why are you going this way? I know what you up to. You taking this black man in the woods to lynch him. I'm not having it. That white man stood up. He said, no, it's not happening. It's not happening. I'm not having it. And the police backed down. It was a brave white dude. I had to give it to him. He was a brave white dude.
Because they didn't know who he was and who he was connected to.
Right.
And luckily, he didn't die too.
Mm-hmm. Well, they let the black man go, disgruntled, and he was saved from being lynched.
But if more white people stand up to what's going on, and we won't have to have the police call in the situation, because they know that the other person wrong. It's about who's wrong and right. It's not about who's black or white. You know what I mean? It's a humanity situation. Who's right can be diffused, and okay, keep moving, because everybody got most likely a family or kids to take care of and go home to.
Right.
So everybody really want to go home, you know, wherever that may be. You know what I'm saying? So
that black man, that lawyer, that attorney, he eventually went on to become a Supreme Court justice. It was Thurgood Marshall. If that white man hadn't stood up, we might not have heard much about Thurgood Marshall after that, other than he would have been famous for having been lynched.
right, or you wouldn't even heard about him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Happy Black History Month on WHGE 95.3 FM.
yo, the boy dropping sides on y'all. That story right there. Yo, you gotta think about that, you know? The guy stood up for a person that became to be one of the most famous black people in the world. You know what I mean? You gotta really think about that. So you as a white person, you can help that person. That's by stopping what you know is wrong. In certain situations, wrong is wrong. You know what I mean?
That's right. My city, right here on WHGE 95.3. My city from Nsoromma.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. It's a quote from Sister Tracy Johnson. I got this from. Welcome to the time of the year When many companies recognize Black History Month for the sole purpose of profit and exploitation, what would be far more helpful is answering the questions such as, how many Black people are on your staff? How many of them are in upper management? And what does your company do actively in the community? You know, and I agree with her on that, you know, but what I say is we got to stop going to them for employment. We got to start employing our own. And I am fortunate that I work for a Black-owned company, Black-owned organization. Yeah, I love it too. Damn right. Yo, I know you heard about Whoopi.
Yeah.
He got suspended on The View because she said, now wait a minute, let me, oh, here's the thing that I really hate. Okay, she said that the Holocaust was not about race because Jews are whites and the Germans that killed them were white, so it wasn't about race. And this upset, people got all bent the hell out of shape behind that. Oh yeah, they did. And what did Whoopi do? She apologized. So you had nothing to apologize for, Whoopi, because you're right.
Not only that, this is how you have the right to voice your opinion, and it's only your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. Now, when you be so straightforward with your opinion and certain people don't like it and they're in positions to make you change your mind about your opinion, now that's different because it's dealing with your livelihood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to respect the gangster of her livelihood. She wasn't trying to step on nobody's toes. You know?
Well, you know, I say this, you know, and I hear what you say about opinions, yes.
But
everyone has an opinion.
Because we in the radio.
Yeah.
We
But here's the thing. You're entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. And what Whoopi said about the Holocaust was facts, because Judaism is a religion. You can convert to and from a religion. You can't convert to and from a race. All right? All right, so the Azahnaki Jews, who were the main victims of the Holocaust, okay, were white people. They converted to Judaism. And they converted to Judaism during the time of the Moors. Okay? And they were able, well, the Azahnaki, they didn't want to be Christians and they didn't want to be Muslim. So they chose Judaism, which was, of course, stolen from Africa. And they said, okay, we'll go with this religion and we'll pretend that we are the ones that created this religion, which of course is not so. So when Whoopi said, yup, it wasn't really about race, it was about ethnicity, and it was about what it's always about, commerce. It's always about that. That's why the Jews were hated so in Europe, because they had gained control of the economies of many of European countries. Yeah. You know, look, big ups Jardea for this quote.
Right.
If you want to know who controls you, look who you're not allowed to criticize. All right? Who runs Hollywood? The Jewish community. Jews created Hollywood. The Warner Brothers, Mayer, MGM, all this comes from Jews. So if you're in show business or broadcast or this, that, and the other, know that any criticism or any reality that you bring to the table about those that identify as Jews, be careful, because you're not allowed to criticize them.
But then you think about it. Okay, these same people are supplying millions of blacks and whites and whoever color the money to support their family. And big from their position that they have brought about if you was able to do that and make your own business and become your own person. The words though you need people to work for you, you won't let the people that work for you tell you what to do.
No.
All right, then this TV show and this time that I'm paying for right now is my time I'm paying for. You're only sitting on it, so I don't want you to tell me you don't like me.
All right.
So
or criticize the way I do
of course.
things.
Now that's only in business. I hire you for business. You could have said something that was a little controversial. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't your opinion. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have to respect your position. And that's what a lot of us don't do because of the money fact.
Right.
I won't respect my decision or the way I feel because I need this $3. And that $3 ain't only gonna last to get you some eggs. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But you ate that night.
Yeah.
So you made it another night. When you were supposed to be able to call on your friend and say, listen, I'm on hurry. Can you help me? I ain't have no food. And they got plenty left over for all of it, and they could have helped you out. But we ain't communized like that no more. We ain't together as a people. And that's what has to be done.
That's what has to be done.
Right. That's what has to be
done. See,
done.
it's something that, other groups, if you say something slick about them,
right,
you're going to get shut down.
Right.
Because they have that cohesiveness
right,
to come at you.
Right.
So that's what we have to do. Now, we have been able here in later years to deal with someone getting up and saying the N-word or this, that, and the other, or disparaging us. Okay? And that's all well and good. But it's not on the level that it should be. Because if it was on the level that it should be, we wouldn't be getting little trinkets. Okay? Case in point. They put Maya Angelou on the quarter. Wow, man. What an honor.
On the what?
On the quarter.
Maya Angelou's on the quarter?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's on the quarter. She's on the back of the quarter. But on the front of the goddamn quarter is George Washington, a slaver. And we didn't ask you to put Maya Angelou on the quarter. I don't give a damn about Maya Angelou being on the quarter because black people are still being murdered in the street. They just had a thing, and I missed my notes on that. A brother at home, one of these no-knock warrants, where they can bust up in the house, a brother sleep on the couch who had a gun permit, all right? They run up in there, and he gets up like, what's going on? What's going on? They shot him 9 seconds after they walked in the house. Okay? Black people still fighting for voting rights. But Maya Angelou's on the quarter. Okay? What is it? We're going to get some, we got Juneteenth. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. We got Juneteenth. Books are being banned. I don't give a damn about Juneteenth. I teach my own young people about Juneteenth. But Maya Angelou's on the quarter.
I mean, you can't fathom how deep and how far back this goes, and how much structure and planning was put into this design. They only want to keep it in position, man. That's it, man.
That's it.
Period. It's all about commerce, money. If we can't make no money as America, and you can't be part of making this money for us, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's word.
And really, the planet is ours.
Yeah.
As a human, you know what I'm saying? We can live off the planet. We don't need nobody for anything.
That's what I just said.
Right.
Africa, the world needs Africa. Africa doesn't need the world.
Right.
Okay? Now, I know a lot of y'all have seen the commercials, Feed the Children, and they show these,
starving people, flies on them.
Flies on them.
Oh, I used to hate that commercial so bad, man.
But what they don't show you are the sprawling metropolises in Africa. Rwanda, for instance, they have one of the best, what is that called? Public transportation systems in the world. Makes America's public transportation system look like crap. Okay? This fascist nation, these oligarchs have turned America into a third world country. And what are they doing? Banning books. Is that Nazism?
That's incredible, man.
Yeah. Teaching students that World War II vets We're giving GI benefits that help them afford housing and education is teaching history. Teaching them that black vets were deliberately excluded is teaching history through the lens of critical race theory. If you have a problem with that, ask yourself why. Okay? They run around banning books. That's Nazism. Not a single kid has died in a mass reading. Yet they're banning books instead of guns. Because a whole lot of kids have died from these mass shootings in schools. All right? Just to give you an idea. I think it was either Jardine or Tracy put out this list of banned books. Okay? I'm just going to give you a couple of them. The Catcher in the Rye. Of Mice and Men, I read that. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, I read that. The Killer Mockingbird, I read that, and it's a movie. And so is Of Mice and Men. The Outsiders, it's a movie. They banned some of these schools then banned the Harry Potter series. The Grapes of Wrath, The Color Purple, and the list goes on. The list goes on. I often tell you what Martin said about education. Tell you what Malcolm said. We must establish all over the country schools of our own to train our own children to become scientists, to become mathematicians. We must realize the need for adult education and for job retraining programs that emphasize a changing society, which automation plays a key role. He said this in 1964. We intend to use the tools of education to help raise our people to an unprecedented level of excellence and self-respect through our own efforts.
But it ain't like we ain't do all of the things that they said. It's just that the white mob came and burnt it down every time that they did.
Right.
You know, so
yes,
it ain't really about that. It's about some of that stuff has to be burnt down. You understand? You can't burn down my house and then think you're going to still have a house after that.
I heard that.
Not with me, you won't.
I heard that,
You know what
brother.
I'm saying? So, I mean, war is war. And none of us want that. So why you keep putting it on me? You know what I'm saying? Or that's just the way it is. War is war. So you don't want to be at war. I don't know you at war and you study getting cut up and sliced up.
And that's the problem. A lot of us don't know we at war.
Exactly.
Okay? And we're not at war because we declared a war. We didn't look up and say, hey, you're an enemy. No.
Right.
White America, through its own actions and out its own mouth, declared the black man its enemy.
And I'm like, what's that about?
Yeah.
You know?
It's about fear.
But
Because they're
that
afraid.
though, if we pay attention, they don't talk about nothing about a black man within any of the trees and all of that throughout the deals that they made as America when they came.
Yeah.
So they made the black man up. We are native black. You know, we have to separate that because this black man has been made up. That name has been made up by America.
Again, I understand that the race, is a social construct. But like you said, it's made up.
So how you gonna have people that supposedly is made up? You know what I'm saying? Asking for something you made up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if our language,
whether we made up or not, we still here.
Our language has to change though for us to be heard. Is what I'm saying.
The thing is, they're not going to hear us. Who needs to hear us is us.
Right.
Okay. We need to hear us. Look. You know what? There's some other things. Oh, I gotta mention this before I even get to that.
Okay.
Ahmaud Arbery. Okay. Ahmaud Arbery, of course, murdered by those three white men. Okay. Now they were coming up for federal charges. The prosecutor, not just the prosecutor, the Department of Justice, behind the back of the parents, cut a plea deal to put these three murderers in federal prison, out of state prison. Yes, Georgia State Prison has some problems, so we say. Okay, it's a brutal, harsh place. That's where they belong. They murdered somebody. But this federal Department of Justice, the head of the Civil Rights Division in the Department of Justice, Biden's Department of Justice, went behind the parents' back and tried to cut a plea deal with the murderer's lawyer.
But did you know when you hire a lawyer, the lawyer can make the decision for you and sign for you?
Yeah.
And that's their structure.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So you never really hire a lawyer to speak for you, or you just hire a lawyer to help you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean.
Well, he's supposed to be knowledgeable about the system and therefore your mouthpiece. Now, prosecutor Christian Clark says she had been led to believe the family supported the plea bargain. That's a damn lie. And it's a black woman, the head of the Civil Rights Division under Biden's Department of Justice. Here's what Ahmaud Arbery's mother said.
Okay.
She said the Department of Justice has gone behind my back to offer the men who murdered my son a deal to make their time in prison easier for them to serve. I have made it clear at every possible moment that I do not agree to the offer these men a plea deal of any kind. I have been completely betrayed by the Department of Justice lawyers. And the head of that was a black woman that betrayed Ahmaud Arbery's parents. All right? You know, bro.
They put your own people against you?
Yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do.
They good, man.
Yeah. That's right.
They good.
Yeah. They found some Negro P and big wench that was willing to do it. All right.
Yo.
Now, I know some of you have heard me be critical of the Nation of Islam and Minister Farrakhan and what have you. But one thing that I will say about Minister Farrakhan, and I've said it before, is that he is a very astute observer of society. He is very astute, very brilliant in his observations of society. So I'm going to quote him now. Minister Farrakhan said, here's how you erase a people from the earth. You red zone the districts and communities they live in. Target those areas for gentrification and rebuilding of properties that the people that live there can no longer afford. You overpopulate their schools and underfund their education and label them educationally unfit by the time they reach the third grade. Then you overpolice their communities and kill their children, videotape it, put it on the internet, and don't even bother to indict the very ones that took their lives. And then you monetize incarceration and put black and brown bodies in jail and make it profitable for the same damn people behind their murders. Making money, sending these kids off in jail. That's how you kill off of people. Y'all better get hip and see what's going on around you. This is the Open Eye, WHGE 95.3 FM.
Yeah.
I'm Patrice Gibbs.
Nsoromma in the building.
All right. And as we always tell you, destiny determines who enters your life, but you decide who stays. Therefore, value those who value you, and don't treat those as a priority.
Who treat you as an option.
The Open Eye.
WHGE 95.3 FM.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Yo, thank y'all for tuning in. Smooth, I see you listening. You know what I'm saying? Hey, yeah. Hey, Tracy. Sorry, man. I see you. Hold on. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate y'all so much. And yo, I know my boy Pat, I appreciate y'all too. We growing, so keep growing with us, and we gonna keep going together.
Indeed.
You dig?
Yes, indeed. I see you there, cousin Mike.
Yo.
That's word. All right. Yes, indeed. Hey, brother Smooth. I see you on there. Yes, indeed. Glad you're listening in. Thanks for joining us. I hope you learned something. I know I did. All right. The Open Eye.
Hey, Nsoromma streaming off.